Welcome to the Media Master Podcast. Bienvenidos. Thanks for downloading this latest episode. Today's date is Tuesday, March the 5th. Martes 5 de marzo. And on today's podcast, we're going to talk about the Besame Mucho Music Festival that happened this past weekend here in Austin, Texas. Primero que nada, antes de empezar, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't had a chance, go to my YouTube channel, and I've got a podcast where I do my Secretos al Exito, 7 secrets to success. You can check it out, and I've been dividing those 7 secrets into individual stories and reels to create more YouTube content. Bueno, let's get right into today's episode. We're going to talk about music, ¿verdad? Porque ya saben, eso es lo que me gusta. And if you follow my podcast, if you follow me on social media, if this is what I do. He trabajado por 30 años en la industria de la música. Officially since 1993. When I was in high school, I was a DJ in a radio. Then I moved to Austin in 1995. Y bueno, long story short, here we are recording podcast after a career at Univision, the Grammy Awards, freelancing, going to college, getting a master's degree. It's overwhelming, pero aquí estamos. So let's get into the podcast, the episode today. We're going to talk about music and about this music festival que acaba de pasar este fin de semana. And honestly, the reason I bring up all my history in music is because I think this is the first time I've ever experienced a festival of this nature, de esta magnitud, de este impacto. It was something else, and I'm going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about what it was like from a behind-the-scenes perspective, ¿verdad? Because I was working. I went to the Besame Music Festival. I was there on assignment. And I won't get too much into details as to what I was actually working on, pero ahí andaba trabajando. I was working behind the scenes, talking to artists, talking to managers, to organizers, to media people. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, tras bambalinas, como hacen. But looking out into the crowd, it was a sea of people, a sea of Latinos, of all types, all generations, abuelos. I saw a lot of parents there with their kids, muchos sombreros, mucha raza, mucho mexicano, mucho tejano, mucho chicano. Easily, I don't know what the official numbers are, but talking to managers who have been at these mega events in the past, they say it was easily over 100,000 people. But big shout out, by the way, to the organizers of the Besame Mucho Festival. Great job, the organization. The organization was down to the T, the perfection, the way it was organized, the way it was separated, the food booths, the stages. There was 4 stages going on at the same time. Literally, you had your rockero stage, you had your regional Mexican stage, you had your pop and español stage, and you had a clásicos stage. So all different types of music. The bands that were performing, Bronco, Alicia Villarreal, Los Rieleros, Hombres G, Caifanes, Juanes, Alejandra Guzmán, Gloria Trevi, Cumbia Kings, Faye, Banda MS, just a bunch of bands. Grupo Frontera performed. Los Tigres del Norte, they closed out the night on one of their stages, Los Tigres del Norte. And I got a chance to see all those bands. It was very interesting to see Kinky de Monterrey, a big fan of Kinky from back in the rock en español days, from the late 90s, I think. Pero muy buena onda. Todos los grupos, everybody performed at their best. You could tell everybody was excited. And fíjate, these bands, they've all performed at these mega events in the past, but a lot of them were saying how impacted they were at seeing all the people. So this tells me a lot of things. The market is changing. A lot of new generations coming into their late teens, early 20s. This is their first time living these types of festivals. This is the first time this type of festival even took place, especially here in Texas. Maybe in California, they've got, Coachella and there's Austin City Limits, but this type of festival for Latin music of all genres, this was the first time I ever saw it. Hopefully this is going to continue. This podcast that you're listening to, you're only going to hear it here on the podcast feed. I'm not doing the video version. Usually I upload stuff for the videos. Pero go to my social media if you get a chance. Go to David Rios TV on Instagram. That's mainly where I posted the majority of my content, but pues también on my personal Facebook feed. Or look at David Rios TV on Facebook, and I'll be uploading some clips there from behind the scenes para que vean la magnitud de ese evento. I've got some videos posted on my social media. I think it's the biggest thing that's happened to Latino music, to Latino culture, especially here in Texas. There's people that came from San Antonio, the Valley, Houston, Dallas, El Paso. There was people here from Louisiana, from New Mexico. Mucha gente de México también vino a este festival. I saw a lot of plates de Monterrey. Mucha gente de Monterrey vino a Austin. All right, so let me share a couple of stories with you about what I experienced working backstage at this festival. Working in the music industry and radio for so many years, for varias décadas, you get used to being around celebrities, around artists, singers, musicians, managers, publicists, engineers. And it's a creative field, ¿verdad? And filled with creative people. It's like a mix of business with creativity, with music. For people like me who are wired like this, who think naturally in this environment, who feel comfortable in this environment, it's very rewarding to see all of these pieces come together. So having said that, when you're around, like I was at the Grammys, right? At the Grammys, you see the best of the best, the best recording artists who are at the top of their game. To perform on the Grammy Awards, you have to be at the top of your game. So you get used to being around these big artists but you really don't ask them for pictures, right? Because you're there to work and you're there, pues más helping them, talking to them, conviviendo con ellos. Backstage is mainly an area where they can relax, because when they're on stage, they're in front of a lot of people, or when they're on camera, they're recording, they're putting on, they're working, ¿verdad? They're putting on their show. So when they're backstage, when they're off, a lot of times they're unwinding, they're coming down from their performance. So it's not always the right time to say, hey, can we take a picture? Although I'm sure if you ask them, la mayoría, 99% will say, yeah, sure, claro. So what I'm trying to say is I don't ask for artist pictures a lot of time. Los grabo, los entrevisto. If I'm doing PR, I'm moving them around, getting them interviews, helping them with press. So I really don't ask for pictures too much, unless the opportunity presents itself. And it's the right time. Hay que saber cómo y cuándo preguntar. So I'm backstage with Bronco. Bronco es Bronco, los gigantes de América. Don Guadalupe Esparza. So I was walking with them after their performance, off the stage, walking them back to their green room, back to where all the trailers are, where all the artists, where the artist lounge is. And they have their own trailer. So I'm walking with them and their team because we're going to record some interviews. Y ya pues llegamos al punto donde vamos a grabar, and we're ready to get set up. We do the interviews. We take pictures with some fans that were watching, with other artists. Y se portaron muy bien. They were not in a rush. And, we were saying, all right, well, thank you very much. Me dieron la mano, saludé a todos, a los hijos, a toda la banda. And I was like, hey, can we take a picture real quick? Y Don Lupe, sí, claro, vamos a tomarnos una foto. So I got a picture with Bronco. So that's my story. That's how it came together. Doing that is very satisfying, as opposed to getting an artist off stage. Hey, congratulations. Here, let's take a picture. Or trying to fight the fans to get a picture, porque pues estás ahí para apoyar al artista, ¿verdad? So you're there to help them out, not make their job more complicated. So yeah, once they got everything out of the way, once they got their jobs, sus compromisos, and they still had time, y se sentían bien, órale pues, let's take the picture. And that was my story of being with Bronco backstage. I had a chance también to say what's up to an artist I've known for a long time, Cruz Martinez de los Cumbia Kings. Un saludo to Cruz Martinez if he's listening to this podcast. was great to see him. He spends a lot of time in Mexico. The Cumbia Kings are very busy in Mexico, drawing huge crowds. And from what I hear, from what he tells me and his manager tells me, we might see a Cumbia Kings tour happening here in the U.S. This year. Hopefully it happens. So it was good to see the Cumbia Kings. The only thing that was missing of the Cumbia Kings performance was DJ Kane. DJ Kane was not there, and to me, if you're gonna have the Cumbia Kings, you gotta have DJ Kane, maybe Slim, Alex, Nino B, the original Cumbia Kings. I know there's some beef there about Cruz Martinez and A.B. Quintanilla, pero they're part of the Cumbia Kings as well, obviously. But you gotta have Pee Wee in there. It would have been nice to see Pee Wee performing there at Besame Mucho, pero pues no Pee Wee. We had Cumbia Kings with Cruz Martinez, but not Pee Wee and not DJ Kane. So it would have been really cool to see them perform in front of this big crowd. But they put on a good show. Eso sí, mis respetos para la banda, los Cumbia Kings. Professional. Llegaron a tiempo, se presentaron. They put on one great show. Hit after Cumbia King hits. So great job to the band, a Cruz Martinez y a todo el equipo de los Cumbia Kings. Who else did I see? I saw Gloria Trevi. She was real busy. Man, she has a huge entourage. Gloria Trevi has an entourage of like 20, 30 people. Bailarines, makeup artist, wardrobe, manager, assistant, publicist, bands. It was pretty interesting. La Banda MS, I got to see them. I didn't see them perform the show, but I did get to see their sound check. Un saludo para La Banda MS. They've got a real good song out right now que se llama Tu Perfume. I like the song. Check it out. Si tienen un tiempo, Tu Perfume con Banda MS. Which, by the way, they just also recorded a song, the A.B. Quintanilla, so it sounds like the Cumbia Kings. If you get a chance, check out Banda MS featuring A.B. Quintanilla. ¿A quién más vi? A los Rieleros del Norte. Saludos a los paisanos de mi esposa. My wife is from Chihuahua. Los Rieleros are from Chihuahua. Lo mejor de la música norteña, los Rieleros del Norte. I got a chance to say hi to some of the family members. And también los Tigres del Norte. Saludos a los Tigres del Norte, todo el staff de los Tigres, bien profesionales. Man, these gentlemen, I don't know how they do it. Ya están. They're already getting old. They're getting old, I'm not gonna lie. We're all gonna get there one time, but man, they went up, played, stayed a little bit late, past curfew. Well, they hit curfew, ¿verdad? The last song of the night, but también se presentaron. Man, they gave it their all. A lot of energy. But yeah, once they come off the stage, whew, you can tell that their energy level takes a big dip, pero I don't blame them. Man, it must be a rough life, busy life, hectic life, but a very structured and very disciplined life to be a musician, to be on the road every weekend. It's mis respetos para todos los músicos, la verdad, to all of these bands. To be able to pull this off weekend after weekend after weekend, it takes a team. It takes a team to make the dream happen. So what do we got? Rieleros, Tigres. That was my story with Bronco, taking a picture with them. Banda MS. I recorded Los Tucanes de Tijuana. Big shout out to Don Mario y todo el equipo. Chito, the drummer for Tucanes, another great band de Tijuana, Los Tucanes de Tijuana. Well, that's about it. Man, getting into the show took us about 2 hours. The line from all of these little side roads heading into the venue, the Circuit of the Americas, there was like 3 or 4 entrances, and it took you at least an hour and a half to get onto the grounds. And that was to get off at the end of the night, everybody leaving at the same time. There was people waiting for Ubers on the side of the road, like groups of hundreds of people just waiting for Ubers. Which, by the way, I talked to a friend of mine whose son was he came from San Antonio to do Uber for this event, and he was making $150 a trip. He was telling me that his son was dropping people off at the festival, and they were giving them $50 tips, $100 tips, $20 tips. So if you drive Uber, man, you made a good chunk of change this past weekend. A lot of artists merchandising. From what I hear, the number one artist that sold the most merch were the Cumbia Kings. They got a great logo. Those two Ks, I see inverted with the Joker. That's a very cool logo. I think their merch sold out. So big shout out once again to the Cumbia Kings. Pues bueno, mi gente. It was great to see Hombres G. Another story. So I'm backstage, ¿verdad? And I'm sitting on a golf cart because we've been walking around all day. Estamos ahí descansando. And the cool thing about working these festivals, there's so many artists that you might be standing next to one and you don't even know it's them because they're already out of their stage wardrobe. Yeah, I mean, they look like regular people. Ya los Hombres G también, they're already in their 60s, maybe 70s, I don't know. Pero ya son señores. And everybody looks like rockers, muchos rockeros. So I was sitting on a golf cart and then I hear people talking next to me with an accent that's not Mexican or Tejano. They were like Español or Argentina. I don't know, where's Hombres G from? Spain? Argentina? One of those countries? Well, it wasn't Mexican, right? We can recognize Mexican, different types of Mexican. It wasn't Cuban. It wasn't Venezuelan. It wasn't Puerto Rican. It wasn't Espanol. Well, it could have been Espanol. So I don't know, Hombres G. They were there and I heard them talking and then I was with one of my coworkers, one of my colleagues, and they say, "Is that Hombres G?" And I was like, something that is Hombres G. And once I started looking at them, it was the members of Hombres G with their staff, with their managers and, their engineers. So imagínate, there's a group of like 10, 15 people, kind of, in their 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s. But it's Hombres G, international rockers. So of course, my friend, my colleague went and took a picture with them and I took the picture. I didn't want to ask them for the picture porque pues ya estaban, they were smoking their cigarettes and they had been talking to us next to half an hour. But mis respetos. I did say hi to them. I said, "Hey, great show. Welcome to Austin. Bienvenidos. Espero que se la pasaron muy bien. All right. Safe trips home, safe travels. God bless you." Así a todos. Dios los bendiga. Dios los bendiga. And a lot of artists say God bless you too. Although they'll say bendiciones. So, bueno, amigos, that's it. That's my story for a little chunk of what happened at Besame Mucho Music Festival. Si Dios quiere, nos veremos también el próximo año. Go to my website, davidrios.tv. I've got a link for you to download my 7 Secretos al Exito PDF. Es en español. Es absolutamente gratis. You can download my report. I've got my online course on there. If you want to learn about video, audio, photography, how I do these podcasts, I've got an online course called Media Master Course. You can go and you can join my course there también. Muchas gracias. You guys have a great one. God bless you. Que estén bien. And we'll see you on the next podcast de Media Master. Hasta la próxima.